Hey everybody, welcome back to another EDH video. Today's video is day 17, I believe. Yeah, today's the 16th. Tomorrow will be the 17th. Yeah, this is going out on Tuesday. And we are on Bant. This is probably one of my top 10 commanders coming out this year from Bloomburrow. I absolutely love this card whenever it got previewed or whatever they call it. Whenever it got spoiled, I think that's probably the proper term for it. Day 17. This is Helga, Skittish Seer, legendary creature, frog druid. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 4 or greater, you draw a card, gain 1 life, and put a +1 counter on Helga. And then you add X mana of any one color, where X is Helga's Skittish Seer's power. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells with mana value 4 or greater, or cast creature spells with X in their mana casts. Obviously, that's a tap ability that you don't just get that whenever you cast a creature spell. I forgot to say that it was a tap ability. They start off at a 1/3. This reads very much like Chulane, except for it taps for mana. It is very boring, but I'm just a sucker for cards that do a billion things. I love Corvold, I love Chulane, I love Layla, all the brawl decks. I really like those cards. So this kind of reminds me of one of those that just has like so much text on it. There's no flavor text. But yeah, let's get right into what's actually inside of the deck because that's the important stuff. We got 37 creatures, 5 sorceries, 9 instants, 5 artifacts, 9 enchantments, 34 to 36 lands, depending on if you count the MDFCs. This deck's coming in at probably pretty cheap. Actually, probably not, actually. I probably splooged a little bit on the price because I do like Bant. But it's coming in at $271. So not too bad, not too shabby for what it is. We have some ramp. We're in Bant. We're going to have some good ones. We got Arcane Signet coming in. It's 2 generic. Adds 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. So a white, blue, or a white, blue, or a green. I don't know why I said white, blue, or white. You know what I meant. Everybody knows what I mean when I say Arcane Signet taps for all the colors. Birds of Paradise. It's 1 green. Taps for any 1 mana of any color. Add 1 mana of any color. Any 1 mana. I don't care. It's a flying bird. Just does not have X in mana cost, so it's fine. Fanatic Aronis, 1 generic and a green. Creature Snake Druid, taps for a green, but also has this ability called Ferocious, where you can tap it and add 4 green. Activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Then it has Eternalize, so you can exile it from your graveyard and make a 4/4 copy of it. Then we have Goreclaw, Terror of Qualsisma, 3 generic and a green, so it triggers your commander because it's 4 or greater, but it also cares about creatures you cast with power 4 or greater. They cost 2 less to cast, and then whenever it attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample. With Helga, we already read this creature, so we don't really need to talk about it, but it is ramp, it is draw, it is counters, it is life gain, it is all of the above. It just checks so many boxes in the deck, so it's in a lot of the categories. Kami of Whisper Hopes, 2 generic and a green. If one or more counters we put on a permanent you control, that many +1 are put on it instead. You can tap Kami and add X mana of any one color, where X is Kami's power, combos with a ham sandwich, I guess. Noble Hierarch, 1 green. You can tap it and add a green, a white, or a blue. It also has Exalted, so whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. We don't care about Exalted, we really care about it tapping for mana. Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, 1 generic 2 green. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, if its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. You pay 1 green, tap it, and add X mana any combination of colors where X is the greatest power among creature you control. We have Soul Ring. We don't need to talk about Soul Ring. It taps for 2 colorless. That's all we need to know. 1 generic. Probably should be banned, but we'll talk about that never again because nobody cares. It comes in every precon, so I might as well throw it in every deck. Thought Vessel, 2 generic. Artifact, you have no maximum hand size if you tap for a colorless. We care about this because we're going to be drawing a lot of cards and we don't want to be discarding the hand size. I know you can sculpt perfect 7, but what if I want to sculpt my perfect 28? Everybody always uses the argument, but I don't see a sense in it. Utopia Sprawl, 1 green. Enchant Forest, enters, choose a color, and then whenever Enchanted Forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of that chosen color. You don't Enchant Forest, which kind of sucks, but it's very good. Wild Growth, 1 green. Enchant Land, whenever Enchanted Land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. You can enchant any land with this, so you can tap Enchanted Plains and turn it into a Temple Garden, pretty much, or enchant an island and turn it into a watery. I don't know the name. We got Removal. We got Swords of Plowshare, 1 white. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Love the card. Very simple. 1 white. Exile creature. Gets around all the indestructible stuff. That's why it's in here. That's why it's in every white deck, pretty much. Silverback Elder, 2 generic and 3 green. Whenever you cast a creature spell, destroy target artifact or enchantment. The other stuff doesn't really matter to me, honestly. We can do the top 5 thing, but it doesn't really matter that much. The gain life is okay if we're in a pickle, but really care about the destruction there. Requisition raid, one white, and then you can spree, so you can pay an additional colors to destroy an artifact, just pay an additional colors to destroy an enchantment, or just put an additional generic, put a plus counter on each creature target player controls. Yourself. Path to Exile, one white, exile target creature is controlling may search their library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their library. Again, same thing with Swords of Plowshare. We have it in here because it's a good card. Pungify, one blue, destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller creates a 3/3 green ape creature token. It's an instant, very good in response to them attacking or whatever. Probably one of the best blue removal spells. It's just literally 1 mana and you destroy something. So we have Generous Gift, 2 generic and a white. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Kind of like the elephant's gift or whatever. I really like the art though. The elephant's just sitting on the guy, just like, yeah, screw you, guy. Just sits right on him. Farewell, 4 generic, 2 white. Exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, or exile all graveyards. You can choose 1 or more, so you can choose all of them if you want. Mainly, if we have a lot of creatures, we're probably just going to be choosing artifacts, enchantments, and graveyards. But if there's problematic creatures, we might choose creatures as well. We have Counterspell, 2 blue, counter target spell. I put it in the blue deck because it's a blue deck. I don't really like running a lot of the free ones or anything like that. And we're trying to keep these kind of budget friendly, but not super budget friendly. Kind of middle of the stuff. Beast Within, 2 generic and a blue and a green. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Instant. The art is creepy. I don't know what the heck's going on there. Looks like a 5-armed, I don't know. Austria Command, 4 generic, 2 white. Choose 2, destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. So you can either destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts, and there's so many possible combinations. Then we have draw. There's a lot of draw. We have Beast Whisperer, 2 generic, 2 green. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. An elf creature for mana value 4 or greater, so seems pretty good to me. I think she cares about power 4 or greater, right? Or does she care about mana value? I don't know what Helga cares about. We have Shulane, Teller of Tales, 2 generic and a Bant. Legendary creature, Human Druid, Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Then you can pay 3, tap it, return creature you control to its owner's hand. So 2/4. We all know what Shulane does from the Brawl deck. So it's just like, whenever you do this, and this, and this. Disciple of Freylis, 3 generic, 3 green. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you gain X life and draw X cards where X is that creature's power. If we want to, we can sacrifice Helga if she's super big and just get a bunch of stuff. Garrick's Uprising, 2 generic and a green. Whenever this enchantment enters, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creature you control have trample. Whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. Logical card draw. Guardian Project, 3 generic and a green. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature in your graveyard, draw a card. I suck at reading. That's too much words. It also says stomach strength comes from diversity. Helga, Skittish Seer, it is mana value 4 or greater. So that's what they care about. I'm not reading Helga. It's just here to let you know that it does all of the things that the deck wants to do. Inspiring Call, 2 generic and a green. Draw a card for each creature you control with plus and counters on them, and then those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. Way to draw some cards, way to save your board. It's only 3 mana. You can hold it up at instant speed. Doesn't feel too bad to hold 3 mana up. We have Mole Drifter, 4 generic and a blue. Creature elemental, flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Also has Evoke, so it's a 2 generic and a blue. You can cast it as the Evoke, and it enters and you sacrifice it. The Heart of the Wilds, the draw doesn't really matter here. We're probably not going to be playing big. Well, we're probably going to be playing big stuff, so we might get the draw off of it a bunch. We've already read the card, though, in the ramp section. This just happens to do both very good. We have Thunder Snapper, 4 Simic Hybrid. Whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater, draw a card. I bet it probably says mana value now. It's probably errated to mana value, but on the card it actually says converted mana cost, but mana value is what it is. Simone Paradox Sculptor, 2 generic and a Simic. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a plus and counter on each up to 2 target creatures you control. Then you can tap a Simic and tap it, and double the number of counters, number of each kind of counters on that target, whatever. Ferocious Hydra X, 2 green, trample, enters the battlefield, X plus counters on it. Whenever it enters, double the number of plus and counters on Ferocious Hydra, or it fights target creature you don't control. Enters as a 0/1, so it doesn't die. Then we have Vastwood Hydra, X 2 green. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it enters with X plus and plus counters on it, where X is the XP paid. And whenever it dies, you may distribute a number of plus and plus counters equal to the number of plus and plus counters on Vastwood Hydra among any number of creatures you control. The Goose Mother, X, and Ascenic. Whenever it enters the battlefield with X plus and plus counters on it, it enters the battlefield, you create half X food tokens, round it up, and whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice the food. If you do, draw a card. The 2/2, but it's going to come in at much larger. Stump Squall Hydra, X 3 green. Whenever it enters the battlefield, distribute X plus and plus counters among it and any number of commanders. So Helga or it. Helga would be a good choice because then you can tap Helga for more mana. Sovereign Oak and a Howl, 2 generic and a Selesnya. Whenever it attacks, for each creature you control a power greater than that creature's base power, put a plus plus counter on that creature equal to the difference. So if a Hydra is 0/0 base power, but you have like 12 plus plus counters on it and it attacks, it doubles. Wave Goodbye, 2 generic and 2 blue. Return each creature without a plus plus counter on it to its owner's hands. It can return like everybody else's. It could be one-sided. It's only 4 mana. I think it's really good. Repulsive Mutation, X, and Ascemic. Put X plus and plus counters on target creature control, then counter up to 1 target spell unless its controller pays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. I really like this card as a 2 mana counter spell. But you can also have the extra value of putting counters on stuff. Resourceful Defense, 2 generic and a white. Whenever a permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target permanent control. Then you can pay 4 and a white, move any number of counters from target permanent control to another target permanent control. We have Quilled Great Worm, 4 generic, 2 green. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage during your turn, put that many plus and plus counters on it. You may cast this card from your graveyard by removing 6 counters from among creatures you control in addition to paying its other costs. It also has a trample. It's a 7/7 worm for 6. We have Protean Hydra, X and a green. Enters battlefield with X plus and plus counters on it. If damage would be dealt to Protean Hydra, prevent that damage and remove that many plus and plus counters from it. Whenever a plus and plus counter is removed from Protean Hydra, put 2 more plus and plus counters on the next upkeep. Primordial Hydra, X and 2 green. Enters the battlefield with X plus and plus counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of plus and plus counters on it. When Primordial Hydra has trample, as long as you have 10 or more plus and plus counters on it. Gosh, that was a lot to read. It's an OO. Also, the Shattered Spire, 1 generic and a green. If 1 or more plus counters will be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1 are put on it instead. Then tap 1 and a green, tap it, put a plus counter on entire artifact or creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Then you can pay 2 and cycle it from your hand if you want to. Next board, Hydra, X and a green. You can bestow, but we're probably not going to do that. Reach Trample, enters battlefield with X plus counters on it. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on next board Hydra and has reach and trample. That's for the bestow. Neverwinter Hydra, XX and 2 green. As Neverwinter Hydra enters the battlefield, roll a XD6. If it enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on equal to the total of those results, as trample and ward 4. I think this is a cool card. Mistcutter Hydra, X and a green, can't be countered. Haste, protection from blue, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and it's a 0/0. So it matters for that Sovereign Oak and a Howl card that I was talking about. Machias Lunarch, X and a white, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on Machias, so you can tap it, remove a +1/+1 counter from it, and put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. The Human Cleric, not a Hydra, but we have Lifeblood Hydra, X and 3 green, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. When it dies, you gain life and draw cards equal to its power. If somebody wants to kill it, then we can draw a bunch of cards, but they'll probably exile it so they don't weed it. Clothing Hydra, 3 generic and 2 green, enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever it attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. I just like the art. I just like Hydras. That's why they're in here. Invigorating Surge, 2 generic and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that target creature. It also has a Hydra on it. That's why it's in here. It's Hydra Tribal, but without the tribal. That makes sense. Hydra's Growth, 2 generic and a green. Enchant creature. When Hydra's Growth enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each enchanted creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of +1/+1 counters on enchanted creature. This can get really out of control if we put it on Helga. Hungering Hydra, X and a green, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Whenever it is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So this can get out of control as well. Hooded Hydra, X and 2 green, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever it dies, create a 1/1 green snake creature token for each +1/+1 counter on it. The morph we don't care about. It doesn't matter. We're never going to morph this. We're just going to play it outright. Hardened scales, 1 green. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on it instead. Gosh, that's that many +1/+1/+1. There's so much +1/+1. Hadana's Climb, 1 generic and a simic. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. Then if that creature has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, transform Hadana's Climb. Transforms into a land that I'll talk about later. Right now, don't even think about it. Gold Vein Hydra, X and a green. Vigilance Trample Haste. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. And then whenever it dies, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to its power. I just like this card because it creates treasures and looks cool. Genesis Hydra, X and 2 green. Whenever you cast a spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield, and shuffle the rest into your library. Then it enters with that many X +1/+1 counters. Forgotten Ancient, 3 generic and a green. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Forgotten Ancient, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. Also an 0/3. Then we got Benevolent Hydra, X and 2 green. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and if 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on another creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put in instead. You can tap or remove a +1/+1 counter from Benevolent Hydra, and put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Ranging Evolution, 2 generic and a green. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. It has a Hydra on it, I'm pretty sure, so this is another reason why it's in here. Then we got Random. This is the stuff I couldn't find a category for. Apex Devastator, 8 generic and 2 green. Cascade. It's a 10/10. It's a Hydra. Chimera Hydra. It looks really cool. That's why it's in here. It's a Hydra with a bunch of different heads on it. That's my only argument. Chakram Retriever, 4 generic and a blue. Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. This can go combo with our commander, I think. In a way, I guess you can cast all the spells if you have enough mana with our commander. Anyways, Disciple of Frailus. I think I already showed this card earlier, but hey, let's talk about it again. On the backside, it has a land that if you pay 3 life, it comes into untapped. But also, I love doing this with a really big Hydra. Sereth, the Viper Fang, 2 generic, 2 green. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, and then untapped creatures you control have Hexproof, and then you can pay 1, tap it, untap target creature or land you control. Basically in here to untap Helga. That's one of the only reasons why I have it in here. We have a land. Land, of course, we're going to have 4 plains, 4 islands, 4 forests. We have Adakar Waste. So it taps for a colorless, taps for a blue or a white, and it deals 1 damage to you. Very simple stuff. I like the art. It's also in here for the art. I choose specific arts. I'm just kidding. I just drug them all over. Balagate Recovery. Balagate Sanctuary. Balagate Recovery is in here, but I didn't even show it earlier. But anyways, Balagate Recovery is just you can return something free graveyard to the top of your library. And then this is just the land on the other side that enters the battlefield taps, and taps are green. Bark Channel Pathway. Taps for a green on this side, but it also flips. You can play it on the flip side and taps for a blue. Yeah, that matters. Lands. Botanical Sanctum enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. Taps for Simic colors, so a green or a blue. I don't know if I like these lands yet. I haven't played with them a whole lot, but I think they probably look good. Bountiful Promenade enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Taps for a green or a white. Servants tend the gardens meticulously, ensuring the upper city residents aren't bothered by the messier parts of nature. Brushland. Taps for a colorless, also taps for a green or a white. It deals 1 damage to you whenever you tap it for the green or a white. Antiquities War. I don't know why they're talking about Urza in the flavor text. I wonder, you guys ever read the flavor text on lands? Canopy Vista enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. This one's talking about like Marusa, and it's like thickly branches, ground inhabitants, all this other stuff, talking about stuff on lands. Command Tower, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's colored identity. Also says, it's me and Gribble's special fort. None of the bad things can get us in here. Toby, whoever the hell Toby is. Tell me who Toby is in the comments if you get this far. Deserted Beach. Deserted Beach enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Taps for a white or a blue. Drownyard Floods, unnatural frost made the once peaceful boardwalk deceptively treacherous. Dreamroot Cascade. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Taps for a similar color, so green or blue. This art looks so cool. Like I want to be there right now. You know that looks like so sweet. Exotic Orchard. Add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. These are like metal trees. You know, and that's why it's called Exotic Orchard. They're all just metal trees. Isn't that just crazy? Flooded Grove taps for colors. Also, you can tap a blue or a green and tap it and add green, 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 blue, or blue, blue. Also, this looks creepy to be. I wouldn't want to be in that art. I would be scared. Fortified Village enters the battlefield. You may reveal a forest or plains card from your hand. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. And then it also taps for a green or a white. I don't know if I want to be in that Fortified Village. It feels like it's all wood. They just like throw some fire and it burns. Anyways, Garden of Frailus enters the battlefield. You may pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped and also taps for a green. Now that just looks like the woods. You know, some trees, some like brush. Glacial Fortress enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Taps for a white or a blue. I mean, what the heck's going on in this picture? There's like 17 ships. I think they're all crashed. I think. Hinterland Harbor enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest or an island. Taps for a green or a blue. Hinterland Harbor. It's a harbor, you know. There's some villages back there. It seems like. I don't know. I don't know what I'm rambling on about. Overgrown Farmland enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Taps for a green or a white. What the heck? Is that thing is that a thing right there in the center? Is that like something just about to stand up? Like Groot? It looks like Groot just about to like pop up. Port Town enters the battlefield. You may reveal a plains or an island card from your hand. If you don't, Port Town enters the battlefield tapped. Then you can tap it for a white or a blue. Port Town looks creepy. There's like some ghosts in the art. Yeah, Camille Susenberg. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Is who the artist was. Prairie Stream enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Has plains and island type. So it taps for a, you guessed it, white or a blue. This looks cool too. This is like my favorite art ever right here. I don't know why. Rejuvenating Springs enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more opponents. Taps for a green or a blue. I don't know, it just looks so refreshing. Like I just want to like swim there, you know? It's like dive in. Reliquary Tower, and you may have no maximum hand size. Well, you do have no maximum hand size, and it taps for a colorless. Also, what the heck's wrong with that tower? It's like tilted. It's getting sucked in by like a, I don't know, like a hurricane. Sea of Clouds. I don't know why I said season. Sea of Clouds enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Taps for a white or a blue. You're just up in the clouds in this art. Not much to talk about there. Pretty much just Sun Petal Grove. It is battlefield tap unless you control a forest or plains, and it taps for a green or a white. This is from like Ixalan. This is like one of the first sets I ever started playing Magic in. So this just looks like a jungle where dinosaurs would roam, to be honest. Tide Channel Pathway. This is the backside of the green pathway that I talked about earlier. This guy's just like parting the water, just like, yeah, no, screw you, water. What, like Moses or whatever, right? It was probably in the Bible somewhere. Vine Glimmer Snarl enters battlefield tapped unless you reveal a forest or an island card. It also taps for a green or a blue. The art is crazy. Talking about paradoxes. This is a land I told you I wasn't going to talk about. Well, I was going to talk about. Winged Temple of Warzaka. Add 1 mana of any color by tapping it, and then you can tap 1 Simic. Target creature you control gains flying, gains +X/+X into a turn where X is its power. So with our Hydras, we can turn them into flying beaters and just beat down on people with our giant Hydras. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a really long one because I wanted to talk about Helga. But yeah, follow me on Blue Sky, join the Discord server, subscribe, like. What's all the stuff people tell you to do? Do that stuff. Links in the description for everything. I'm not a good YouTuber. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.